Hey, Jay. Well, congratulations. Been a long journey for you. Your first game as an NHL head coach. I guess just kind of tell us kind of what's going through your mind since yesterday when you had the call with Ken.
Well, it was first off, it was an emotional day. Two good men lost their positions, and I call them friends, and we've worked together in the same organization over the last number of years. So it was an emotional day from that point of view. It was a long day just travel-wise and getting up to Edmonton and being ready to take the job on. I would say that I'm very much humbled and feel very privileged to have been named the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. It's a proud organization in a hard-working city, and I'm very much proud to be the head coach of this team.
You come in, there's a morning skate, and then you guys got a really hectic schedule next week. There's not a ton of practice time, Jay. So do you have to pick a few things you want to implement in a practice, and then the rest are on video? Can you kind of maybe outline what the plan is to try to have the team play the way you want?
Well, we talked to our team this morning. We had a meeting just to set the groundwork. There's small things that I think you can implement on the fly, but very cognizant of the fact of there isn't much practice time over the next little while. Cognizant of the fact that it's a game day here today, and we don't want our players overthinking. We want them playing, and we don't want to see any hesitation in their game. So for me, there are details in the game that we're going to put an emphasis on, that we're going to put import on, and but most importantly, we want our players to play free of hesitation tonight.
You mentioned the last few years when I talked to you in Bakersfield how there's the X and O factor of head coaching, and then there's the personality factor and the communication. How much of an advantage is it that you've coached some of the guys in Bakersfield, but you're also an assistant coach with Nuge and Draisaitl and Connor and the rest of them? Does that make it a little easier that there's not as many personalities that you necessarily have to get to know right away?
Well, I think certainly there is familiarity, and different people have relationships with myself in different fashions. The leadership group you mentioned from up here knew me as an assistant coach a few years ago. Some of the kids that you mentioned only know me as the head coach that was down in Bakersfield, California. So they know me in different ways. I think the familiarity aspect of things means that you feel comfortable in one another's presence. I think I told our players that we're going to work hard to strengthen the relationships that we do have, but I'm excited to build new relationships with the players that I've yet to spend a lot of time around.
Jay, what's the dynamic going from assistant coach of the team to head coach? Often the assistant coach is the good cop, the head coach is sterner, perhaps. What is the dynamic there?
Well, when I made the decision to go down to Bakersfield a few years ago, I did it with the intent of one day becoming an NHL head coach. And in my time in Bakersfield, I've learned that the biggest difference between being an assistant coach and a head coach is the difference between having an opinion and being the one who makes the decision. That's the biggest difference that I've found, and it's a huge responsibility and not one that I'll take lightly.
You mentioned details. Is one of those details to check harder and not give up so many goals? Yes,
it is. Now, we might have different definitions of exactly what checking is. I believe checking begins in the offensive zone. I believe checking is hanging on to the puck and wearing teams out in the offensive zone. It is working into positions to set yourself up to come back into your own zone. So checking might have a little bit different definition there, but certainly an area that we will address as we move forward on a daily basis with our group.
Based on morning skate. All right. Got to turn the green light on. Okay. Morning, Jay. Based on morning skate, it looks like you're going to go with Connor Leon and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins each centering their own lines. Maybe an explanation as to why you're going to go that route.
Well, I think it's going to give our team the best chance to win tonight. And that's where my mind is attacking things on a today matters most basis. And that means that we felt with the assets that we have at our disposal, that putting 3 quality centermen down the middle forms a spine in our group. It'll help our young D-core that we're going to address tonight. I think it represents a matchup issue for other teams, and you sat down with all 3 of those players and clearly mapped out what we expect of them tonight.
How's Marcus Niemelainen and Philip Broberg played for you down on the mine?
Both have been very, very good. I think they've impressed in both Bakersfield and in Edmonton this year. Nemo, his big dimension is his physicality. I think teams know when he's on the ice. I think that's a dimension that we wanted to add to our D-core here this evening. And for Broberg, he's a great skater. He transports the puck. We've seen a lot of growth in his game over the last few months. So excited for his renewed opportunity up here in Edmonton.
You've spent lots of time coaching in the National Hockey League, lots of time in the American Hockey League now. How different are the athletes? How different are the attention spans? Can you be the exact same coach in the NHL that you were in the AHL?
Well, I think for me, I'm not going to be anybody but myself, Ryan. I'm going to be myself. I believe that I'm in this position today by being myself. I think you are a product of your influences, and for me, that begins with my parents, my family, my wife and kids, but also, the mentors that you've had along the way as well. But at the end of the day, I'm going to bring what I bring to the table. Do I think there's a difference between the American Hockey League and the National Hockey League? I do. I'm quite cognizant of that. I think that players in the American League are at different stages of their development. They're striving. They're a whisker away of achieving their life dream, and they have different types of circumstances to deal with at that level than and for that matter, pressures to deal with at that level as compared to the National Hockey League. I'm thankful for my time in the National Hockey League. I don't believe everything will be brand new to myself. And so I'm excited about bringing some of the lessons that I learned as a head coach in Bakersfield up here to Edmonton.
This particular group's been through quite the year. They were on a real high early, and I think probably as a group felt like they were coming out of the disappointment of the previous years. Then it really, really fell off. Just a 180 for the group. And that was a pretty big emotional swing for them. I don't necessarily expect you have an answer to this, but I know you're watching from afar.
Yeah.
How big a part of, diagnosing and fixing some of the confidence issues and the group believing in itself, and how big a piece of that do you think this project will be for you?
Well, I think as coaches, and specifically for Dave and I coming into this coaching staff, one thing we want to do is build trust with our players. I think trust leads to commitment, and committed players are far more productive than uncommitted players. So I believe that happens in how you conduct yourself on a daily basis as a coach, how you give your players tools that they need to be successful. Sometimes that's in the video room, sometimes it's on the ice in practice. I think I am concerned with what is and what will happen rather than what has happened here over the last little while. I don't think you can go back and change any of that. I think we are going to be very focused on trying to find the lead domino, so to speak, and we're going to whack away at that lead domino until it falls. And what I mean by that is the areas of the game that I think need most improvement for our group.
Hi, Jay, over here on that side. Hey, Coaching the Oilers is a tough gig. I mean, it's, they're asking you to do something in a very short amount of time that hasn't been done here in 14 years. Is that a bit daunting to you? How do you go about that challenge?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm excited about the people that we have in the room. I'm excited about the people that we have around the team. I believe there's a lot of runway in this season, and but saying that, I've asked our players to keep our picture small, to worry about today. And once you start building things in the right way, I believe that success is built sequentially. And so we're going to worry about taking care of today, and then once we've taken care of today, we'll move on to tomorrow. It is a challenge, but I'm excited for that challenge.
This might be a question for a couple of weeks down the road, because I'm not sure how closely you've been watching them from afar, but some of the issues that plague this team, are they some of the same ones that you saw when you were here before with Todd?
I don't think, my focus and my concentration in Bakersfield was on the team that I was coaching. In the background, you're watching your parent club because you're invested in their success. You're invested in some of the guys that have moved up the food chain, so to speak. But I don't think it's fair for me to say that because I really wasn't in the fight for the first few months of the season. So, like I said, I'm not so much worried about what was. I'm concerned with taking care of the what is and what will happen going forward.
I got two questions, Jay. Welcome aboard. Everyone's a product of sort of who they've been around, who they learned from. You coached, you were video coach under Babcock. You worked with McClellan. You worked with Tippett. I don't know if Scotty Bowman was still around Detroit.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
So, when you think of those names, what'd you pick up from each guy? Can you give us a nugget of here and there how Jay Woodcroft became who he is today?
I'll speak to the general because I don't believe today is about Jay. I believe today is about the Edmonton Oilers and us trying to find a way to win a game tonight. But in general, I do believe you are a product of your influences. I've been around some great people, all of whom bring different characteristics to the table. And they've taught me collectively that there's not just one way to do it. They've taught me that in order to have success, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to put the work in. And that's a message that we passed on to our players today. We will be open-minded, and we're going to commit ourselves to getting better every single day.
So I don't know what your plan's going to be with your, how you're going to allot ice time and do your lines. We'll figure that out. You walk in as a coach who's never been a head coach to NHL into a room that has two mega superstars. Are you in a position, are you comfortable with telling those guys how their game has to change if you think that it has to change?
I think in my experience, and I think I'm in my 17th or 18th year of professional coaching at different levels in different job titles, my experience tells me that the best players in the world want to be led. And that's what I'm here to do, is to try and help push these players forward and most importantly, help push the team forward. I think I began the press conference by saying how privileged and proud I am to be the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. What I'm going to try and bring to the table is a work ethic and intensity about our team that this fan base and this community can rally behind and really be proud of.
Just over here, sometimes it's best to get thrown in the in the water right away and then start swimming, I guess. And this is that type of situation where you didn't have a week or some time to work. Like if it happened during the All-Star break, you would have thought about it a lot. But this time they said, go out, coach, start. And is this a good situation that you play right away and kind of go from there?
That's a good question. I don't have the luxury of picking between those two scenarios. This is the scenario that I find myself in, that Dave finds himself in, that we collectively as a team find ourselves in. For me, put a lot of time in to be ready for an opportunity. spent last 4 years talking to our players in Bakersfield, how important it was to take care of your daily process so that when you got tapped on the shoulder, you were ready for your moment. And I, as a coach and in this field or craft of coaching, put a lot of time in to be ready for this moment. And I'm excited about it. I'm bullish on our team. I have belief in this team. And we're serious about the job we want to get done here.
Just one last one. Can you give me your thoughts on leaving Bakersfield and, and Chalk and what he's going to do there and what the city and the organization meant to you for the last few years?
Well, what I really enjoyed about Bakersfield is that there's a lot of similarities between Edmonton and Bakersfield. I saw both communities as being filled with extremely hardworking people. There's a lot of oil and agriculture in both places. They're both communities that valued people laying it on the line on a daily basis. Win, lose, or draw, they valued hard effort. And I believe that anything worthwhile in this world is achieved through hard effort. And, I know that fan base down there was real supportive. And, like I said, I wouldn't be standing up here today if I didn't have that experience down there. So I wish Colin, Noah, and Sylvain and Keith nothing but the best. I know they're going to do a great job. They're in a good spot. They have a lot of good players, and wishing them well and cheering for them from afar.
Jay,
I
I know you've been working toward this goal for quite a long time, and dating back to 2005, becoming a video coach. What would you say to yourself 17 years ago that getting this opportunity?
Yeah, and again, this is not about Jay today, and it's about our team and trying to win the game tonight. But for me, I don't believe in setting limits on your own potential. And it's a core belief of mine that if you work at something and you're dedicated and you're fueled with passion and purpose, that you're only limited by the limits you set on yourself. And, I've been around a lot of really good people, going back to Spec's question there, who have invested a lot of time in me. And, I'm excited about this opportunity.
And Ken Holland said yesterday that he thinks you're ready for this opportunity. I would imagine you feel the same. Why do you feel like this is a good opportunity and that you're ready for it right now?
Well, I feel it's a good opportunity because of the runway left in the year, of the players that we have in the dressing room, of the potential for individuals to grow their game and for the team to grow their game. I think it's an excellent opportunity and one that I'm not going to take lightly.